G'day guys, Fitcho here, and welcome back to my MotoGP 18 career mode. Today we're here for episode number 9 and the second round of the Moto3 season, and today we are heading to South America, to Argentina specifically, to a track which I don't really know how I feel about it. It's not a track I necessarily love, it's not a track that I hate like the Sachsenring or Qatar which we were at last week. It's just sort of a neutral track, and hopefully, because it's a track I don't strongly dislike around, I think we can have some decent pace and just get in a respectable performance, bounce back from last weekend and get some points on the board. That is the goal for this weekend. I think the team wanted about 13th in Qatar, so if we can do that here in Argentina, get some points on the board, I think it will be a successful weekend, let's say, because last weekend really was a disaster. Right, I've already hit the track here in Argentina in a free practice 1, and I've completed all of our tests, getting a total of 5,466 development points, and now I think it's time to head into qualifying.
Hello and welcome to the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit. We're joining you live from Argentina. Only a few minutes to go before we see the first bikes take to the track to start the customary qualifying session. The sky above us is clear, and the forecasts say that the situation will be stable for the entire duration of the session.
Right, we're here in Argentina for today's qualifying session. Some beautiful conditions here in South America. 27 degrees and beautiful blue skies. Perfect conditions to go out and set some blistering lap times. Let's do it. One thing I have noticed about this circuit here in Argentina, other than the first corner, none of the corners actually have brake markers. It is ridiculous. Like, we're heading onto the back straight now through turns number 3 and 4, I think that was. Turn 4 here, this little kink. And now onto the back straight. Normally you have these white strips on the side of the track that are all in 50-meter intervals, which sort of denote the braking zone. You can work out where to brake. But looking, coming down to this hairpin, there is no reference point whatsoever where to jump on the brake. And I've guessed it pretty well this lap, but it's just a guessing game where to brake at the end of that straight. Every other circuit on this game that I've raced on so far has had some sort of braking braking lines, those white lines that sort of indicate where to brake, and they just aren't here in Argentina. Again, down here, I think this is turn number 7 or something. Yeah, again, nothing, and I've gone in a little bit too deep. It's really, really confusing, it's really annoying, and making this quite hard to learn the circuit, because I just don't have any references for my braking points. Right, a 1:48.2, we've done a few laps already, we're 8 minutes into the session, and that is currently good enough for 13th place, about 9/10 of a second down on Aaron Canette's best times. We have had a shocker down into turn number 1 again. It's actually the only corner with reference points in the braking zone, so I was about to use that as an excuse, but I can't at turn number 1. But every other corner, I'm guessing my braking zone every time. I'm struggling to find a reference point, and it's making it really hard to set consistent lap times and actually get a nice rhythm around this track, and I just don't know why there aren't reference points around this track. Like I said, I said a minute ago, you would have just seen coming down this straight, there is no reference points at the end of this straight. The track isn't even rubbered in to sort of give you an idea where to brake. You literally guess. The track looks the same all the way along, and you just have to guess. And again, I've guessed it alright this lap. I'm starting to get a feel for it, but still, it's weird not having any reference point to go off and just sort of judge it by my distance to the corner. It's so strange. Oh, no. Oh, that was a biggie. I turned in too early to turn 3, and oh, I felt the full force of that huge sausage curb right there. I think I need to go back to the pits. As Fabio Di Gianantonio, one of the quicker riders, has also had a little bit of a moment. I think I need to go back to the pits, make sure this bike is alright, gather my thoughts, and then try again. Yeah, 3 minutes worth of repairs after that crash. Let's definitely do those repairs, and now I think it's time to head back out on track. Let's just check where the results are at the moment. Aaron Canette is sitting in the first place, provisional pole position, that's the word I'm looking for, 147.3, and we are sitting in 13th place on 148.2, so that is what our team objective is, I believe. Well, it was in Qatar, and unless they've lowered it after my shocking performance in Qatar, we should be doing alright on the team objective if we can actually come home in 13th. There should still be a little bit of time to find out there, I reckon. Like I said, I'm still learning the track, especially without the reference points. It's making it a very difficult track to master. This has been a good lap. We did massively overshoot the hairpin at turn 4, but it's turn 5 even. It's a good lap though, and we're up to 5th place at 147.6, only 3/10 of almost 4/10 of a second off pole position. A very nice lap there, the best lap we've put in this session. I'm actually surprised how quick that was, considering how much of an overshoot we did have down at the hairpin. So maybe there's a little bit more time again for me to find. Maybe we can lift ourselves onto the front row of the grid, as not on this lap, as this has been a shocking first 2 corners. So that brings us to the end of today's qualifying session. In the end, I couldn't find any more time. I couldn't get close to that time that I set, a 1:47.6 that got me into 5th place. And what is frustrating looking at these results, I was within a 10th of Enea Bastianini on the front row of the grid. Canet and Martin were 2/10 or 3/10 in front of the rest of the field. And I was so close to getting onto that front row. I couldn't quite manage it though, so I'm going to be starting out of the middle of the second row of the grid for tomorrow's Argentinian Grand Prix. Also, our teammate Tony Arbolino is all the way down in 17th place, so we've out-qualified him by 12 places, so that should definitely make the team happy.
Hello and welcome to the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit in Argentina for live coverage of the Moto3 race. The skies over the track are clear of clouds, and the latest weather reports forecast temperatures in line with the seasonal average.
It is race day here in Argentina. It looks like another beautiful day in this part of the world. 26 degrees and nice blue clear skies. Perfect conditions for racing. We are starting out of the middle of the second row of the grid, I should say, for today's Argentina Grand Prix. I'm not too confident on my pace going into this race, as I struggled to find a consistent rhythm throughout the qualifying session, especially with the lack of brake references around this track. I feel like I'm guessing every time I get onto that brake, except at turn 1, I'm guessing where I am. I have no sort of reference to know where to actually brake, so it's just making it a little bit tricky for myself, and I'm not that confident with the consistency I can put together over today's 10-lap race. It's going to be interesting to see how we go. Hopefully we can get another good start. Our starts have definitely improved recently, and hopefully we can keep that up. But nonetheless, let's get into today's race.
We are now transmitting from the starting grid, where everything seems ready. It's always difficult to predict the results of a Moto3 race, but the riders we're seeing right now definitely seem to be the favourites. Everything here is ready to start the race at Termas de Rio Hondo. Riders just have one thing on their mind now, being the first to cross the finish line.
It is race time here in Argentina. Grab the clutch, get the revs up. My traction control is on despite me turning it off in the bike settings, but nonetheless it is lights out and away we go. The Argentinian Grand Prix is underway, and we have actually got off to a decent start by our standards. Della Porta has gotten past us as we head down into turn number 1 hard on the brakes. We have not been that good through the first corner. Alonso Lopez, the other number 72, gets past us. Bike 72 passes Bike 72. Really strange how I can still run that number with him in the field, but nonetheless down to turn number 2 right on the back of the other number 72 bike, and up his inside we go on the exit of 2. We flick right through turn number 3, and now we're going to get into the slipstream of Lorenzo Della Porta's Leopard bike as we head down the long back straight. Hasn't been the worst start in the world, only losing 1 place by my standards really is not too bad, but we are really losing down this straight. Now where do I brake? Where do I brake? How about now? I think that's John McPhee coming up my inside as a reference, and Adam Norradine has snuck up our inside as well. That's what I mean, it's so difficult to pick out my braking point with absolutely no references, but back up the inside of Adam Norradine, and we retake 7th place. We've lost another place now to the Scot. John McPhee is now down to turn number 7. Another corner I do struggle with, hard to pick out the braking zone, but I've got a bit of a reference there in terms of the shadow, knowing it's a bit after the shadow, but still it's not really ideal. End of lap number 1 of today's Argentina Grand Prix. We've lost 2 places on this opening lap, but that's not too bad by my standards, so I'm going to take that as somewhat of a success. But we are starting to lose touch with the front few riders. We're still fairly close to John McPhee, but there's a little bit of a gap between him up to Della Porta, and it looks like Aaron Canet has already got a little bit of a break on the rest of the top 5 there. Oh, Marco Bezzecchi is sending it up our inside halfway through the turn 5 hairpin, pushing us out of the way, and he forcefully takes that position, and we are now back into 8th place. That is not what we wanted. We're trying to set our sights up to John McPhee and try to catch back up to him and send a move. But we're going to go around the outside of Marco Bezzecchi down at turn 7. We can't quite do that, but can we get back up his inside at turn 8? A little bit of contact, but he did that to us, so I say that is all fair. And now up into turn number 9, we're starting to gain back up on John McPhee. despite this fighting, and that's what we need to do. Hope Bezzecchi can just sit there patiently behind us for a second while we put in some lap times to try to catch up to John McPhee and hopefully get past him, and then set our sights on that top 5, which are already starting to look like little specks in the distance. We've had a really nice exit off turn 2 and therefore a good run through turns 3 and 4. And we are right on the back of John McPhee as we head onto the back straight. A nice dose of slipstream. We're going to ease past the Scott up into 6th place. But now we just need to hold it once we get down to the end of the straight, hard on the brakes for the hairpin. We've picked out our braking zone really nicely there, actually, by my standards. And we do make that move stick, and we are now up into 6th place. And now we need to set our sights on that top 5. And they are setting a blistering pace right now. And I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to catch them and go with them. A 1:47.2. We've actually just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That slipstream from John McPhee would have definitely helped us there, but we definitely have a little bit more pace than I maybe expected in today's race, and we are starting to catch up to that top 5 with Lorenzo Della Porta just up ahead of us. Round the final corner to end lap number 5 of 10, and we are at the halfway point of this Argentina Grand Prix. 1.8 seconds up to Lorenzo Della Porta in 5th place. I'm not too sure if we have the pace to catch him, as the gap was 1.8 at the end of lap 4, and it was the same at the end of lap 5, so we're really going to have to find something if we want to get up into the top 5 places in today's Grand Prix. We're really struggling to keep up through the middle sector down the long back straight, as we just don't have a tow, while Lorenzo Della Porta is being pulled along by all the bikes in front of him. That's boosting his speed down that straight and just making him that much harder for us to catch, and that was a bit of a scruffy lap, and we actually lost 3/10 to that pack in front of us. Without any sort of tow down that back straight, we just can't keep the pace of that front 5. We have 3 laps here to go, left to go here in Argentina, and I'm just lapping around in no man's land right now. 3 seconds up to the top 5 and about 2 or 3 seconds now back to John McPhee and the rest of the pack. So we're just sort of out here all by ourselves, and we're just got to keep it on the black stuff for the next 3 laps, and we should get a nice 6th place finish, which, considering how we went in Qatar, will be a result I am very, very happy with. I lost 7/10 of a second there through Sector 2, and Sector 2 literally consists of 1 long straight and a hairpin. That is it, and I was losing 7/10 of a second through there. That just shows how powerful the tow is on these Moto3 bikes and how much it is hurting me just being out here all by my lonesome with no one to work with. And I just haven't got the pace through that second sector to hang on to this front 5, or catch them I should say. And the gap is 4.8 there, so I only lost 1/10 of a second. I am still losing there through Sector 3, but still I lost 1/10 of a second through there, so my pace is pretty comparable to these front guys, except through Sector 2 where I'm just losing so much time. Through the final corner we going up to the line to finish in 6th place. A pretty decent result, I will say myself, considering how we've gone so far this season. Qatar being an absolute catastrophe. To qualify in the top 5 and then come home in 6th place, I think, is a very respectable result, especially with the fastest lap of the race attached to that. But Aaron Canet has won today's Argentina Grand Prix with Enea Bastianini, I should say, and Jorge Martin joining him on the podium. Fabio Di Giannantonio and Lorenzo Della Porta came home in 4th and 5th, then myself sitting there in 6th place. I just could not go with that front 5 in today's race. Once I lost the slipstream to that front 5, I just got that gap to them, and once I got past John McPhee and then got a gap to that pack behind, when I was just out there all by myself, no one to work with, no one to slipstream with, I just could not catch that top 5 today, and I ended up bringing it home in 6th place, which was the best result we could have hoped for considering how the opening few laps went. Then of course we had John McPhee just behind us, Alonso Lopez, the other number 72 bike in the field in 8th, Marco Bezzecchi and Philip Erdl round out the top 10, and then where is our teammate? Our teammate Tony Arbolino down in 21st place. We finished 6th, he finished 21st. I think that is really going to help our position in the team. So after scoring absolutely no points in Qatar, today's 6th place has jumped us up 20 places from 29th to 9th. We are now sitting there just at the bottom of the front page there on 10 points, 2 points behind Ayumi Sasaki, but Aaron Canet is leading the championship, only 4 points back to Jorge Martin with Enea Bastianini, a few further points back there in 3rd place, and Marco Bezzecchi, Fabio Di Giannantonio, and Lorenzo Della Porta having a really close battle there, only 1 point separating those 3 for 4th, 5th, and 6th place. So we gain 922 reputation, so we definitely get a bit more reputation here in Moto3 to what we did in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, which definitely makes a little bit of sense. When we went and got pole and a race win, we're only getting about 500 reputation in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, but now we're on TV here in Moto3. We get 5th place in qualifying, 6th in the race, and we get 922, almost double what we got for a pole and a race win, so that is very, very nice. That's definitely going to help our reputation go up. Development points, 8,766, and in terms of our attributes, level 48 on riding position, and everything else is sitting at level 47. I was correct, the race objective was 13th, and we have obviously achieved that, and our team trust has gone up a little bit. I will say one thing, with the race objective, I haven't found that obvious going into a race weekend to actually know what the objective is. I only find out what my objective is once I've completed the race, which isn't that helpful, I'm not going to lie. I should know what my target is when I head into the race weekend, not what my the target was set for me after the race weekend is completed.
Even if he didn't make the podium, his placing shows that the bike and rider are competitive. If he keeps this up, the team could find itself fighting for the top positions.
Definitely a lot of improvement from Qatar. DNF and fighting for the minor places in Qatar. We're fighting over like 28th and 29th. Ended up crashing out all the way up to a 6th place here in Argentina. I did start to get the hang of the track in the end there, but still it was proving a little bit difficult with the lack of braking markers. I'm trying to remember what is the next race. I think it might be Circuit of the Americas, which is one track that I really don't like much on this game. That said, I didn't like that on past games, because I struggled with the fast direction changes, especially through the S's. Same reason I didn't like Silverstone that much. But now the direction changes are a little bit faster in this game, I might be able to find a nice rhythm around Coda. I'm not too sure, so I'm going to wait to judge that circuit on this game until I've actually ridden it, because of course we've got a new physics model and everything is a little bit different, and I think Coda is a track that I will have found a little bit of a difference on. But looking at the social feeds, we're up to 3,816 reputation. Okay, I feel like an idiot with the race objectives. They're actually right there on the right hand side of the screen before I load into a race weekend. I never actually noticed they were there, so I do apologize for that comment. I do know my objectives if I was smart enough to actually look for them, because they're right there on the main career hub, right there in plain sight. For the next race, they want us in 15th in qualifying and 13th in the race, and hopefully we can do that. Let's double check the calendar, and it is indeed Circuit of the Americas. Like I said, a track that in the past I haven't liked, but maybe I'll like more with this game's new physics and the faster changes of direction. But that is going to do it for today's episode. A good bounce back considering the horror show we had in Qatar, and hopefully this form will carry across as we head from South America up into North America and into Texas for Circuit of the Americas, and that should be out tomorrow at the same time as this video, actually a little bit earlier than this video, because this one is actually going up a little bit later than planned. Do apologize for that. Some things happen and I couldn't quite get it out, but anyway, it's out on the right day, and that's the important thing. This series is staying daily for now, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you do slap that like button. Of course, make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you are new for much more MotoGP 18 content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.